This video is really only worth watching if you can answer no to this question. Are you content living the rest of your life with the constant stress of looming deadlines? In the next few minutes, I'm going to give you a quick rundown on first, what I found as a procrastination coach causes this constant loop of delaying and delaying until you have to do it all in a huge panic. And second, I want to give you another option so you don't have to depend on stress forever. So let's go find a seat and talk about it. So first of all, what causes it? Usually for those of us who conclude that last minute stress is the only way that we can get shit done, the reason we come to that conclusion is just that's always seems to be what's true. The only moments where we seem to be able to reliably work hard and constantly is in that little panic window before we really have to get something sorted. And so it's natural to draw that conclusion that we need it. But what's actually happening is this. We have task pain and procrastination pain. Task pain is just the pain that comes with getting the task done, the reasons that we don't want to do the task. It might be because it's boring. It might be because you're not really sure how to start. Procrastination pain is the pain that comes with procrastinating, the stress and the guilt that comes from putting something off more and more over time. Task pain starts big, generally. Procrastination pain starts small, almost non-existent. And the longer that you delay, the bigger it grows, until eventually it grows bigger than the task pain. So what you're probably noticing happening, right, is this pain is big, this pain is little, I do this. Then this gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it overtakes the task pain in size, and then we do the task. But now we have two enormous pains, and it feels like a rock in a hard place, and it's very unpleasant, but you just have to do it. So what I want you to take away from this very quick part one is there's a mechanical reason for what's happening. It's not just how you work, you just need stress. Stress is serving a function for you. It's the thing that's serving for you at the moment as a admittedly unpleasant source of motivation. It's giving you access to the things that need to get done. Humans will always do what they perceive to be the least painful thing. It's not part of you inherently, but you need it at the moment to help you make the thing that you need to do the smaller pain, which then involves a lot of procrastination beforehand, because you need a lot of procrastination for the pain to get big enough for the panic to be big enough that you go do the task. Which leads us to part two, what you can do instead. Currently, you're leaving the task pain static and waiting for the procrastination pain to grow, so that the task is the less painful thing. The other option is we make the task pain smaller, so the procrastination pain doesn't need to get to breaking point before you go do the task. And if we can make the task pain quite small, then the procrastination pain will not need to get very big at all before you go do the task, meaning there will be a very small amount of procrastination. Everyone procrastinates to some degree in some ways in certain areas of their life. There are a lot of incredibly productive people who procrastinate dealing with their emotions or relational problems or whatever by doing productive things. Everyone procrastinates at least in little ways in the productivity area of their life, but they still get plenty of shit done, they still do well, because it's not getting to a debilitating degree where they then always have to feel stressed in order to get shit done. And I just don't think that's a good way to live. And maybe if you've come this far, then you don't either. So if the options are let the procrastination pain get bigger, which we obviously don't like, or make the task pain smaller, how do we make the task pain smaller? This is where I think it gets cool. Procrastination is essentially just looking away from the task pain. It feels like if we look at the task pain, we're going to feel the task pain, so we don't want to look at the task pain and we just want to numb, distract ourselves. That is what procrastination is. But when we look at the task and the task pain, we don't actually feel the task pain, we feel the procrastination pain. We feel the stress and the guilt of not dealing with that thing, which means it's safe to look at the task pain, particularly early on when you haven't procrastinated very much, without actually having to do the task. You can avoid the task pain whilst looking at the task pain, whilst looking at the task, which means you can ask a very significant question. What is the task pain or pains? What are the layers of pains, the reasons that I don't want to do this thing? What makes it painful? Like if you hate writing emails and you have to write an email, by asking why writing the email is painful, you're not writing the email, which means you're not experiencing the unpleasant thing. You're only asking the question, and by asking the question, you give yourself an opportunity to make that less painful. So to keep this short, the quick answer is you ask why, and you find little ways to reduce that pain. And my suggestion is don't do the task until you've tried a couple of things to reduce the pain. And if you still really don't want to do the task, then wait for the stress to kick in. You know reliably when the stress kicks in, you'll get it done, which means there's no harm in trying this, right? Like you will get it done, because the stress will kick in at some point. That's the point. But we're thinking about how can I make life a bit better, a bit less painful by not having to depend on that always. And so we start a gradual process of starting to chip away at the accumulated pains around tasks. So each task, these different areas that you find difficult in different ways, you can gradually chip away at them. If it doesn't work, if it doesn't reduce the pain, which, often it might not, and that's fine. You'll learn things, you'll find out how to make it better for next time, and you'll still get the thing done in the end because of the stress, but you'll be on a gradual trajectory of less pain, less stress, and you won't have to depend on that chaos panic in order to get things done anymore. Now, obviously, there's a lot more depth that we can go into with this, and I'm guessing you're having thoughts, questions around how to make this work, whether it can work, why it won't work, things like that. And I want you to chuck any of those thoughts, reflections, or questions in the comments. Just like stream of consciousness, if you like, what you don't think would work about that for you. What about that seems daunting, limiting, difficult, unapproachable, anything, so that I can reply to your comments to give you a bit more complexity. But also, the other thing is, if you stick around, you follow, you click the bell icon, then I can keep giving you a bit more help. Procrastination is not just a character trait, it's not a character flaw, it's a strategy for avoiding pain. And by reducing the task pain, we can start to find strategies that you prefer to the procrastination pain so that you don't need to depend on that anymore. The productive shit we have to do doesn't have to be stressful, it can be the most enjoyable thing in our lives. But I'm going this way if you want to come.